Hi everyone, Rabbi Rosen here. I hope all is well with you. And again, as always, I'm pleased to have a few moments to offer some reflections prior to Shabbat. We can be forgiven if we did not hear very much about a terrible tragedy that took place off the coast of Greece last week. A ship carrying 750 migrants seeking a better life, seeking freedom, sank off the coast of Greece. Hundreds are feared dead. There was precious little coverage of that terrible story in the American media. Contrast that with the experience this week of the loss of 5 individuals, explorers, aboard the submersible Titan, seeking to have contact with the sunk ship Titanic that we all know so much about. How is it that this experience was given breathless coverage, minute by minute, with all sorts of updates on a constant basis, where the much larger tragedy was almost entirely ignored? Is it a case of what Kurt Tucholsky said many years ago, that the death of a single person is a tragedy? The death of 1 million people, by contrast, is a statistic. It seems that that is very much the case. We have a hunger for that which is new and novel and exotic and mysterious. It is an exciting kind of thing to contemplate what it is like for someone who was able to plunk down $250,000 in order to hitch a ride aboard a very fragile, poorly constructed vessel, hoping to have a thrill of seeing the Titanic. Contrasting that with the much more complicated and much more veteran story of those who are seeking a better life. It's complicated, it's painful, it is filled with all sorts of twists and turns, this experience of immigration, and that, of course, is a much harder thing to digest. But we as a people have a responsibility to say that this priority is wrong. How many of us owe our very lives to an America that at the turn of the 20th century accepted thousands, millions even, of Jewish immigrants that we might have a better life in this country? And how many were lost when that same America refused to admit refugees fleeing Hitler? We also know from our tradition that every single soul is precious. It doesn't matter whatever amount of money they may have, what kinds of backgrounds that they sport, what kinds of values they may have in their own lives. Every soul is a creation of God and bears God's image. And to ignore the tragedy of those who are so easily forgotten, that is our great, great tragedy as well. We owe it to the world to state forthrightly and repeatedly that every soul matters. So it is a terrible thing, of course, that these 5 individuals lost their lives in that terrible sinking and explosion in the Atlantic Ocean. But it is equally, if not greater, amount of tragedy that is attached to the experience of those who day in and day out seek for a better life, seek for themselves something better, and find it almost all but impossible to do so because of the dangers involved. Let's never be numbed to the power of a single person. Let us never ignore the plight of those who seek something better in life, and let us never dismiss anyone because they are different, poorer than we are, or live a different kind of lifestyle than we do. There is plenty to treasure in who we are as people. Let us do so regularly and understand what is important about the lives we lead. Thank you for your time. As always, wonderful to be with you. Shabbat Shalom.